to begin talking about our kaleidoscope project, in particular our sneaker kaleidoscope project. So we're going to be looking at a bunch of different kaleidoscopes, the history of kaleidoscopes, and some of this type of imagery, which you'll see a lot in class of what you see when you look through a kaleidoscope. We're going to be making ours out of sneakers. So we're going to be using sites like goat.com and others that you may know of as long as they're available in school. And we are going to be downloading images of sneakers to use. Now, for this project, before we get started, I want you to open up graphics. Once you're in graphics, you're going to go to your folder, and then inside your folder, let's take Adrian's as an example here. Inside the folder, you're going to create a brand new folder. So I'm going to do it in, actually I'll do it in Jake's folder here. So I'm going to right click, new folder. Inside there, you're going to type in your name, project 2. And then inside there are actually two projects for project 2. You're going to have the sneaker kaleidoscope project, which I'll just label like that. And then you're going to have one more that we're going to do, because we're doing two sneaker projects, and one is going to be a digital sneaker mask. So the first one and second one, you can begin to add photos of sneakers to these folders to get started for the project. The first one I'm going to cover, though, the steps of in this video are going to be for the kaleidoscope. So what do I want you to do? Well, you're first going to go to one of those sites like a goat.com, and you can see here the just drop sneakers show up on the main page, but you can also search individual sneakers up top. But just to make things easy, I'm going to use one that they already have. So I click on the sneaker. Now, if you click on it again on this main picture, you'll see that there's now a drop down of a lot of other images of the sneaker. We call these turnarounds, right? So you got all of the different pieces. You got the backs, the fronts, the bottoms, and some zoomed in versions, a 3/4 view like this. So if this is one of the sneakers I pick for this project, and by the way, you need 2 at least sneakers to use for the kaleidoscope project, and you need at least 2 to use in the mask project. You can go above that if you'd like, but really you just need 2, okay? Sometimes 2 or 3 work better for the kaleidoscope, and more like 2 work best for the mask. So what do I want you to do with these? Well, let's say you're going to use these for your kaleidoscope. Well, you're going to take them from here and begin dragging and dropping them into the kaleidoscope folder. But not just one image of it. You want a few different turnarounds. You want the bottom of the shoe. You might want the 3/4 view of the sneaker. You might want that back look of the sneaker, so you can see all these different pieces, because you are in fact going to be pulling from these different pieces of sneaker, copying, selecting, cutting, all those sorts of things. So you got to make sure. Hold on for the announcement, please. Okay, so once these are in your folder, you're going to see they come up as WEBP files. Photoshop doesn't always love these, so what we're going to do is we're going to select them, right click, and go down to where it says Quick Actions. From there, we're going to hit Convert Image. When this comes up, it just asks you what you'd like to convert them to. We're going to say JPEG, actual size is fine, and we're going to say Convert. When you do that, you'll notice that the JPEGs start to pop up for you, which is great. And once they do, that means you don't need the WEBP files anymore. So I'm going to hold Command or Windows key on the Windows keyboard and select the ones I do not want anymore, right click and trash them. Hit delete. So we really don't need those anymore. But like I said, I need 2 different sneakers for this first project. So for the kaleidoscope, I'm going to go back in. I'm going to find a different shoe this time from that same website. Let's pick a new one. How about this one? I don't know how these two are going to look together, but we'll try it out. And I'm going to drag this one in, get a couple of more views, bottom view, side view, back view, zoomed in back, 3/4 view. You never really know what's going to work. You can grab all of them if you need to. And again, same thing. I'm going to select the WEBPs, right click, quick action, convert image, and I'm going to make them into JPEGs, convert to JPEG. And then once that's done, get rid of the WEBP ones, right click, trash, hit delete. Okay, great. So I have all those set up for myself. I am going to be giving you a file that looks like this. I'm going to be putting it in all of your folders. In fact, to make things a little easier, I'll probably set you up with this Project 2 folder with the sneaker collide and the sneaker mask with that pie shape file in there, the one that says pi k right here. Okay, so you'll have that in there. It's going to be labeled in purple, and what you're going to do is open up that file. Now, once it opens up, you will notice that in the layers panel, there is one gray layer and one layer of a pie shape. It's just a piece of white pie, like a pizza pie, okay? And so what you're going to do is now from your folder, you are going to start bringing in pieces of the sneaker. So you do one at a time. So for example, if I take this first one up top here in my stack and I drag and drop from here into Photoshop, it will drop the entire image in here for me. At this point, what I want to do is I want to hit the checkbox at the very top of my screen, or I can hit enter on my keyboard. From there, you will notice that excuse me, that the file has this little icon on it, which we've seen before in the beginning of the year. When you pull something from your folder, sometimes from your desktop, you will see the Smart Object thumbnail come up. We want to break that link for now. Right click, rasterize. Okay, so that little thing will disappear. Great. Okay, and now what do I want you to do? Well, you are going to decide what piece of the shoe you would like to cut out, because eventually you're going to be putting little pieces of the shoe inside this pie. So I'm going to go to this layer. I'm on the top layer now. I'm going to use one of 3 tools for this project, and then we'll get into some others for the next project. We're going to use Lasso, Polygono, and Magnetic. Lasso, first tool. Select the lasso. Go up to the top. Make sure you have either the New Selection button selected or the Add To selected for now. Feathering should be 0. Anti-aliasing on, and that's all you need. You might remember from the last project, you can draw any shape you'd like with this. So, as an example here, I can go onto the sneaker and I could just simply cut out a random shape of any kind. Like that. Make the selection on the sneaker. I am on the layer. You see right there. Okay, great. What do? Right click once you have the selection and select layer via copy. What that's going to do is it's going to copy that piece onto its own layer. So if you look at the layers panel here, you'll notice that layer 1 now has, if I hide this one, you can see it. Layer 1 has this little piece by itself. All right, all cut out the way I cut it out. Then what you can do is take the move tool on your toolbar, move this piece over. Remember, I'm on that layer, so I'm able to move it with the move tool. And you move it somewhere in the white area. It can be poking out. That's okay. If I want it to fit perfectly into the white area, the easiest and most fun way to do this is to bring this layer right on top of the pie shape layer. And once I do, all I have to do is right click and select Create Clipping Mask. By doing this, you'll notice that there's a little icon now that shows a down arrow representing that it is now in fact clipped into the shape that's underneath it. And so you see, you don't see it past here anymore, and you can still move it, and it stays perfectly inside that area. So I'm going to put it there for now. Okay, I'm going to go back to this sneaker again, turn it back on, take a look. This time we're going to use a different tool. This time I'm going to use the Polygono Lasso tool. Okay. How does this one work? Well, you can be really specific with this one. You can get exactly the area you want and leave out the area that you don't want. So, for example, I'll go to here. The way that this works is you click, I'm going to get this out of the way. You click one time, it makes like an anchor point, and then wherever you click next, it will make a straight line to. So if I go click, let go, click, let go, click, let go, click, 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 click. Just make sure not to double click too quickly, or else it will close up your selection. All right, so I'm following this line up. Click, 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 come back. Now there's some stitching here, which I'm going to pick up. It's okay, I'm going to come back to here. and close it up. So there's my new selection. Same as before. Right click, layer via copy. So now on layer 2 is just this new strip, this new piece. So what do I want to do? I want to take that layer now, move it either here and hit right click, clipping mask, or because there's already a clipping mask layer here, all I have to do is take it and put it under it, and it'll automatically become clipped also. You'll notice that when you look at this piece like this, right? So I'm looking at this piece of the puzzle. I can take that move tool at the top toolbar. I can start moving this piece around wherever I want it to be. If I want one to be on top of the other, I just have to move the layer up. So if I move it up here, you see it comes in front. If I move it behind, it goes behind. Okay, so what if you want to make a piece bigger or smaller? So any piece that you have, you can go onto the layer, go up to the top, go to edit, go to free transform. And when you do that, or Command T on your keyboard, you're going to see a box around the piece. You could then pull from the corner to resize. You can also go off past the corner where my mouse is right now, and you can click and rotate to get exactly the positioning that you're hoping for. Once you're happy with it, just hit the checkbox up top and you're good. And last but not least, let's go back to that first one for one moment. Let's use the last tool I want to try with you today, and that's the magnetic lasso tool for this project, okay? Magnetic lasso tool, just like it says, it literally is somewhat of a magnet. You click one time with this little arrow with the magnetic lasso tool, and you just pull. When I say pull, I mean move the mouse without clicking. All of those dots you see clicking, that's the computer doing its own thing. Now, you can go off course like this. It's still going to create these dots for you. Now, if you mess up at all, you can hit delete on your keyboard, and that will go back a dot, and then back a dot, and back a dot, as many as you need to get back to where you want to be. Continue with this, go all the way around until you close it back up, and then you can click. So now I have this nice selection. Same thing, right click, layer via copy, and now that's on its own layer. So what do I want to do? Same option as before. Drag it and drop it under one of these two that are already clipped. And I can't see it right now because it's still over here. So I want to take my move tool and just move it. Okay. And if I want to make it bigger or smaller, I could do that. Remember, with edit and free transform. So I can make it a little bit larger if I wanted to. Great. And then I would go in and I would use the other things that are in my folder. So what else is in there? Well, I have other shots of the same shoe, or I could jump and use some pieces of the next shoe. So like I could go in here, right? And I could grab this one and drag it in and follow the exact same steps. Drag it in, hit the checkbox, right click, rasterize the layer. Don't forget to do that. Now you notice that when I brought it in here in between things that were already clipped. I have to move it out of here and move it to the top. Now when I did that, it bumped these out of being clipped anymore. Well, I can just move them down and move them down, and they get reclipped. Or I could restack them whichever way that I want. So this is the new one that I want to try. What do I want to do? Well, I can use any tool that I'd like. I'm going to use the regular lasso for now. I'm going to do some interesting kind of get a little bit of red. This shoe has a lot of color to it. Okay, right click, layer via copy. Excellent. Okay, hide the big one. Here's that piece. Move it. Take the move tool. I clipped it. I'm going to put it like here. Looks pretty interesting. Maybe here, here. I want to get that max word in there. I'm going to do Command T. I'm going to rotate a little bit. Alright, so that's looking good. I'm going to move it down, not to the bottom, maybe to right there. Alright, cool. So you're going to continue that way. In the second video that I'm going to show, we're going to see how we take all of these that we've done and we make them into more of a kaleidoscope looking circle, more like we're filling up the pie with all the individual slices. That'll be video number 2.